You are listening to Swamp Things, a podcast about University of Florida sports with the Orlando Sentinel's Edgar Thompson and the AP's Mark Long. Edgar and Mark discuss the goings-on with the Gators in Gainesville, where each is a longtime resident who has seen championship success, coaching turmoil, and plenty of drama on and off the field.
Greetings and welcome to Swamp Things, a podcast about the Florida Gators. It's November 7th, 2025. I'm Edgar Thompson of the Orlando Sentinel, joined by Mark Long of the Associated Press here in Gainesville. Well, Mark, Florida bounced back with a vengeance. I kind of felt sorry for North Florida a little bit walking into this environment. Gators coming off a season opening loss to Arizona at Las Vegas to begin their national title defense. Frustrating loss, disappointing loss for the Gators. They had their chances and just really, couldn't make the plays down the stretch they needed. And so they're coming home, unveiling the national championship banner, and North Florida's walking in as a sacrificial lamb, and that's how the game played out. I guess there were, 6 lead changes in the first 5 minutes of the game, but you knew that wasn't going to last for long. The Gators end up rolling to a 104-64 win. It was pure dominance on every front, really. I mean, wasn't a perfect performance, but North Florida didn't stand a chance. So let's just run through a few observations here. Why don't you start us off, and then I'll hit one up after that. What do you got?
Yeah, the front court. Let's just start with the front court. This is the front court we thought we were going to see all season. This is the front court we thought we were going to see dominate against Arizona and Las Vegas. Alex Condon was fantastic. Micah Henlogden's been the surprise of the team. Thomas Houck was his usual stat sheet stuffer, but 66-22 points in the paint, school record 29 offensive rebounds. This was a level of domination that we haven't necessarily seen even last year. This was another level of domination, and this is what we think this team can and will be running this big lineup.
Well, they were playing the equivalent of a rec team, in this.
And they've made the NCAA tournament, by the way.
No, they have. But in this, the ecosystem the Gators operate in, North Florida doesn't. The Ospreys do not fit. But do you have a mea culpa on Micah yet?
Well, I'm not ready to mea culpa. I still think that when you play Thomas Houck at the 3, that means more Micah and more Chenyalu. And I'm not quite convinced that I want to see more Micah and more Chenyalu when we get into SEC play. We'll see. Let's see how they play against UConn. Let's see how they play at Duke. Those are 2 big games. They're next big non-con games. And so we'll see. But I like what Henlogden's doing. The guy, like no one else on the floor, coming off the bench, this guy knows his role. He's not going to take 15-foot jumpers. He's certainly not going to take a 3-pointer. And last night, what I really liked about the guy, he went 3 for 3 from the free throw line, right? So all of a sudden, if he can make his free throws, then you can have him on the court, right? But he was absolutely dominant down on the, in the paint, on the block, doing what he does. 7-footer, right? How many teams have multiple 7-footers? And with Condon being 6'11", this team actually does. Really 3 if you throw in Chenyalu. So, he was fantastic. Back-to-back double-doubles. I don't care what competition level you're playing. That is not easy to do. 13 rebounds in 18 minutes. The guy was fantastic. Again, against an overmatched team, he's going to do this. He certainly was good against Arizona. But, I don't know if – I think 18 minutes is probably his wheelhouse, right? If you can get him on the floor for 15 to 18 minutes a game, and he can have that kind of an impact, that kind of a plus or minus. I think he was plus or minus 31. I think he might have had the best plus or minus on the team. When you can have that kind of impact, absolutely. But sometimes less is more, and I think maybe that's what we need, what we're going to see, and the Gators need from Micah Henlogden.
Yeah, 64 for 24 rebounds, 66, 22 points in the paint. I mean, that is men among boys. Speaking of 7-footers, because Condon and Chenyalu technically aren't the magical 7-foot, measuring stick, but 7'9", Olivier Rioux. That's where I'm going to start. Is he's been a curiosity since he got to campus. The young man, 19-year-old Canadian, tallest teenager in the world, he's a celebrity. It's like, and he handles it with grace and confidence beyond belief. It is incredible. This guy is stopped for selfies, autographs, conversations, or just gets stares all day long, every minute of his life when he's out in public. And fans have wanted to see Ollie, as they call him, his nickname, and we're chanting his name. Todd Golden joked that people were telling him at halftime they wanted him to see. He's like, let's get breaks here. They're up 24, but and one of the reasons is this young man's worked his tail off tirelessly. I've been at practices, maybe doing an interview or something after practice. He's the only one out on the court running like back and forth, working on his conditioning, working on his endurance, and it's still a work in progress. Todd thinks the guy can max out at like 2 or 3 minutes before he needs to come out. So he's like, I'm not going to put him in and bring him out. So at 2:09 and the Gators leading by close to 40 points, Ollie got his shot. Unfortunately, he didn't get his shot. He never touched the ball really in position to get one. It's interesting because they wanted to get him the ball, but there were other players who don't get much court time who were trying to get theirs too.
Yeah, listen, he was fantastic. I thought the best scene of the game was when Trey Cade, a 6'8" forward from UNF, when Ollie checks in the game, Ollie goes directly into the paint where he belongs. Well, this Trey Cade, who's 6'8", just walked right up and like literally stood next to him and looked up to try to measure himself against Ollie. And it was just staggering. It was literally like, me standing next to Micah Henlogden. That's what it looked like. I mean, this is 13 inches, 13-inch difference between these guys. And even, a few of the pictures, you can see the guy's face right there. You can see his face. He was enjoying it. And even the UNF coach, Ryan O'Halloran, was at the game from the Florida Times Union, followed UNF all day, spent the day with them, brand new coach there. And the coach was like, I don't understand it. Why didn't they dump him the ball? Even the UNF players and coaches couldn't figure it out. You can see here that he got a lot of attention. They didn't want him to get the ball. But when you're a foot taller than everybody else, you just throw it up by the rim and let the guy alley-oop everything. So, again, Ollie's going to grow. This story's not dying, not going away. He's not a one-game wonder. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for him to play this season, 2-3 minutes a game at the end. We will get to see Ollie score. We will get to see Ollie rebound. We will get to see Ollie dunk. And I'm there for it. I think everybody should be. The fans certainly were. Big difference between this year and last year. Last year, they chanted his name in the home opener, the student section, and they called him Olivier. Sorry. They called him Oliver instead of Olivier. So they called him Oliver. And he was kind of ticked after the game. You and I spoke to him. He was like, I can't believe they didn't even get our name right. So, but during that game, somebody went over there and told the head of the Rowdy Reptiles that, hey, his name's Olivier, call him Ollie, and they fixed it early last year. But obviously he was not going to play after that opener, made it very clear, Todd did. So, again, fantastic storyline. We all wrote it. I think everybody enjoyed it, and it's going to be a great season-long storyline for Florida.
When you have a non-conference schedule that I complained about some the other day and always tend to, with Merrimack November 21, you have St. Francis the 17th of December, Colgate the 21st, Dartmouth the 29th. So you have a nice little Ivy League back-to-back there. I think he's definitely going to get in 1, 2, if not all of those games, because you got to think they're going to be one-sided, and probably should make further history, because Kenny George, UNC Asheville, was 7'7", tallest player to ever play in a D1 college game. Mark dug up the Manute Bowl, the famous NBA Washington, Bullet Wizard, who was 7'7", also played at the D2 level. So Ollie had a couple things to say. He said it felt great. The support from everybody was amazing, even on the bench and even with the fans. Everyone supported him. I'm very grateful. And I said, hey, you're the tallest player ever. What's that mean? It's another day, I guess, right? That was a cute line. He's amazing. You see him on campus. He walks up, hello. And I mean, literally, and you're like straining like your cervical spine. Like you're afraid you're going to get whiplash looking up. He's a gentle giant, if there ever was one. And then Mike Hanlogden, who you mentioned, who's 7'1", and a good friend, who's joked he feels small next to his towering teammate, as I put it. So much fun. When he was checking in the game, I kind of stopped him. I was like, play with confidence. You worked your butt off for 2 years now to get to this spot. Now's your moment. It's time to shine. Seeing him out there running up and down the court with a little smile on his face, it was really good to see. Heartwarming stuff. It was fun. It was history. We don't get to see a lot of history like that, right? I mean, these stories, when we write about Ollie, this stuff goes worldwide, man. This guy is a fascination around the world. And he's here in Gainesville, Florida, playing for the Gators. So pretty cool. Well, what's another one that jumped out to you?
3-point shooting. It's a problem, right? 2 games in. It's a trend already. I don't know if it's a season-long problem yet. We'll see. But they were 6 of 32 in the game against North Florida, 5 of 27 in the opener against Arizona in Las Vegas. So 11 of 59 on the season. I'm not a math whiz, but that sounds like it's around 20%. Is that give or take? Not good enough, right? And you start to wonder who's going to be their long-range shooter. What's going to happen when teams start packing it in on this front court and daring you to shoot, begging you to shoot? Is it going to be Xavier Lee, who was 2 of 8 last night? Is it going to be Boogie Flan, who's 0 for 3? Is it going to be Thomas Houck, who's 2 for 6? Is it going to be one of these freshmen? Isaiah Brown, Alex Lloyd. Again, it wasn't good enough. I don't know how they're going to get better. Maybe this is the fluke and they'll be better moving forward. I don't know. But usually when you get to your home arena, home opener, usually those shots start falling. They did not. So that to me is a big red flag, at least something to watch moving forward. What kind of shooting team are they going to be?
Last year's veteran trio of Walter Clayton, Will Richard, Elijah Martin, 276 threes. It's a lot. The 3 newcomers, and I included A.J. Brown along with Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee, had 149. So you knew there was going to be a step back. But this is a real step back. There's always been, well, I don't want to say always, but there's been guys, Michael Frazier, Noah Locke. There's been guys over time, and I'm forgetting people. The Russian transfer from
Igor.
He could hit some threes. Now, he had a couple off nights in there, but he could hit threes. They've always seemed to have a guy who was pretty, I mean, especially Locke and Frazier. Those guys were elite 3-point shooters. So, and you go back to Lee Humphrey, of course, and there have been others. But point is, I'm not sure who's in that, even in the close to that conversation of just being a guy. Maybe you got an Igor. I think he was pretty good, but maybe one of these guys can be that. But these guys aren't. There's no Walter Clayton here. Will Richard just had 30 points the other night. That tells you how good he was. And Elijah Martin had 73s. He was a defensive stalwart and a dog and played hard, but he hit threes. That UConn game, I'll go back to that. Without Elijah Martin hitting a 3 or 2 and staying, in that, he kept him in that game. I don't know who it is. I'll tell you this, Boogie Flan, I kind of beat up on him the other day. We need to give the kid time. He's had injuries. And we'll see where he goes. But Todd likes to talk about how well he organizes the offense. And that's important, but you got to create some stuff for your teammates and get them some open looks and penetrate and kick and do some things. I'm just not seeing that yet, but it's early. No reason to hit a panic button, but the schedule is daunting. And a week from Sunday, they play Miami. They got Florida State on Tuesday. I don't know how good they are, but they always have some athletes. Miami's probably pretty decent. And then they got the Duke and the UConn back-to-back in early December. So, and they got a holiday tournament, and there were some good teams too. I think TCU with Jamie Dixon, I think, still there, right? I believe. And he's a hell of a coach. And you got the winner of Providence, Wisconsin. Those aren't slouches. So there are going to be a lot of chances to be tested for this Gator team going forward. We're going to find out a lot in the next month. I don't know what we're going to find out Saturday night in Lexington, though, Mark. Right? You got 2, 3, and 5 teams.
Let's go. Well, let me just finish up on basketball before we go back to football. Real quick.
I like that transition, man.
Two things. It was good. Two things that I noticed last night. First off, Florida dumped they had these national championship warm-ups in Las Vegas. Very cool. And again, even when I saw them, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Todd's made it pretty clear that this team, he doesn't really see this team as repeating. There's too many new faces. But I thought it was interesting that they were wearing these. Well, they ditched them, right? They lose, they ditch them. And I asked Todd last night, was that an intentional move? He didn't know. He's like, I don't really know. I didn't dig in on that. So he's like, but I'll ask around and find out. So I found that interesting. But more than that is, and right there, you can see it behind Todd Golden. The Gators are now selling seats. They moved the bench down, and there's 7 seats between Todd Golden and the scorer's table. And there's 7 seats between the scorer's table on the other side and the visiting bench. So that's 14 seats on that are courtside new. And then they had tables on the west, under the west basket, where they had like internal people would sit. Well, they wiped those out and added more chairs, added 20 chairs there. So 34, 35 seats, brand new, courtside. I talked to some people last night. That's going to bring in, over the course of the season, $400,000 in added revenue to the basketball program, which, again, to the UAA, which I assume trickles into the basketball program. But fantastic idea from Scott Strickland or whoever on the basketball side, whether it's, Duke Warner, who's the basketball AD in charge of basketball, whatever it is, they basically said, listen, we're making a financial commitment to Todd Golden. We're making a financial commitment to these players. We're making a financial contribution to basketball. And how do you kind of supplement that? Is you need to raise revenue, and they did it by creating more premium seating right there on the court, moving some people who have been courtside for a long time, moving them into section. But to me, the bottom line, $400,000 a year, that's big time. That's not going to pay Todd Golden's, $7 million salary, but it's certainly going to help you maybe get somebody you might not have been able to get one way or another through revenue share and NIL.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be squeezing him in at Kroger Field at CF Newton Grounds this week, Mark.
I was wondering how you were going to transition from that.
Like that one?
That was good. I was expecting NIL, but okay. Squeezing them in. Kroger Field. Got it.
Right. Well, let's move to football. We got to get to football.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. We're moving on.
I don't think they're going to be scalping tickets to this one. Let's see. Kentucky has good crowds. I've been to Kentucky every year. Sadly, I won't be going this year. Some, little belt tightening, and we're going to save up for the Lane Train experience next week in Oxford. But I will be there for sure. I'm not crying a river about not going to a night game in 40-some degree temperatures in Lexington. I've been going to that game since 2003. It can be a dramatic game. It can be a fun game. God, that year, Chris Leak was a freshman quarterback going against J-Lo, remember? They're down 18. Jared Lorenzen, 300-pound quarterback. They were down 18 points and staged the largest comeback on the road in UF history at the time, which was later matched, I think, in 19 at Vanderbilt, or 18 with Felipe Franks and them. You remember that one?
Sure. Do you remember his nickname? The Hefty Lefty.
Oh, yeah. I like to call him J-Lo.
J-Load.
J-Load.
I think that's what it was. I think it was J-Load and Hefty Lefty.
Yeah,
he was okay with those.
Yeah, he was y'all by curiosity, a 300-pound quarterback. But so they won that one. They had
how many cheeseburgers DJ's, closer to 3 than 2.
Oh, come on. So let's be nice. So what was it? 17. Luke Del Rio had been third string at one point on that team, comes in off the bench, erases a 13-point deficit in the last 11 minutes. They forget to cover a couple of receivers. Mark Stoops, a longtime defensive backs coach. They're not even covering guys. They won that one. They needed Kyle Trask coming in for Felipe Franks in 2019 when he broke his leg, and the rest is history, literally and figuratively. I mean, the guy went on to set the school record the next year for touchdown passes in a season, I believe with 43, I think, but 42 or 3. Anyway, so there've been a lot of drama. Well, there hasn't been a whole lot of drama the last couple of, they've lost 2 up there. And, Florida won 31 in a row until Dan Mullen's first game against Kentucky, and they lose in the swamp. And you're like, oh my God, this is going to be bad. And it was bad night, and that team ended up winning 10 games. But since then, Florida's lost in 2021, 2022, 2023. So, finally won one last year where DJ actually played terrifically, and they blew him out 48-20 in the swamp. But look, I'm not expecting much from this game. Kentucky's failed to score more than 14 points during 4 of its past 5 SEC games. Florida averages 12.6 points in losses this year, 5 losses. The 2 offenses ranked 15th and 13th in the SEC. I mean, this is going to be the proverbial rock fight, man. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but it's easy to get up for the Georgia game. Let's see if the Gators can get up for this game.
You say rock fight. I was thinking more like a pillow fight. 1st to 14 wins. That's my take on this one. Yeah,
it'll be
probably. You would think, right?
That's the way they play, Kentucky. You better step up to that, or you are going to.
No doubt.
Well, first team to 14. Well, let's just roll under our script here, man. And okay. We'll do this tightly and brightly. What's your reason for optimism?
Yeah, Gators got to be feeling pretty good about themselves coming out of Georgia, even though they're adamant that there's no moral victories, even though they're adamant that, that a loss is a loss. They played well. They had a chance to win the game. I think if they had it to do over again, they have a chance to win the game. And if Billy Gonzales is really a good coach and really want to solidify himself here as a notable assistant, then he's got to learn from that loss. And the one thing he needs to learn is he needs to be more aggressive. They had a chance to put the foot on the throat of the Georgia Bulldogs, and they didn't do it. And they didn't do it with some conservative play calling. They didn't do it with they kind of turned back the script and went back to the Billy Napier kind of offense late in the game. And so at least I have reason for optimism that I do believe Billy's a good coach. He's been here 3 stints. He's learned from some really great coaches. Urban Meyer, I think he'll talk to people after that game last week, figure it out. And I would hope that if you're making a list of things you want to do differently, your second time out, top of the list, be more aggressive. Top of the list, be more creative. Top of the list, be a little bit less predictable.
Billy G's handled himself with incredible poise, I think. And he's determined. You look at that picture that was just up there. Go look at one from 4 years ago. I mean, the guy's lost like 50 pounds. This guy's a focused guy. He's a committed guy. Now, turn out 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. I mean, he was focusing on other things. But he made it. A lot of people go, hey, God, I want to lose 10 pounds or whatever. This guy lost like 30, 40, 50 pounds. He's been handed this assignment. He's taken it seriously. I don't think he's not just playing out the string. So we'll see. I think I've been pretty impressed with him so far. He's handled a tough situation well. And speaking of tough situations, man, I mean, Mark Stoops, this guy, they were the model of consistency kind of for a while there in the SEC for a middle tier program, let's say. We're not done Alabama or whatever, but for a program that really was, flagging badly when he arrived in 2013 after Joker Phillips debacle there, right? I mean, they had a winless SEC season. He walked into a bad situation in Lexington and built that program up to where from 2016 to 2022, they won at least 7 games every year, but the COVID year where they went 5-6, and that was a tough year for a lot of good programs kind of took a step back that year. But now, after beating Auburn last week, 10-3, awful game. 10-3, they snapped a 10-game SEC losing streak in that, and they were 3-17 in league play before that game, dating to the game where they just ran the Gators off the field in 2023 at home. That's the last time they won in Lexington. It's unbelievable. During the previous 20 games, Mark, Kentucky was 10-10, which isn't like, oh my God, coach of the year stuff, but it's Kentucky in the SEC. 10-10 is pretty solid. 2 wins against Florida in that stretch. Tough times for Mark Stoops, man. So that's why I'd be optimistic. I don't know where this program's head is, or the players or whatever, because Mark Stoops, they could be paying this guy $37.7 to get rid of him at the end of this season.
Oof.
Yeah. Reason for pessimism, finishing. The Gators just struggle to sustain drives, finish games. And we've seen it, This is unbelievable stats, man. They are last in the SEC in third down rate, 30.7 conversion rate after going 2 of 10 against Georgia, right, which was the killer. It's 131st out of 160 teams nationally. The Gators averaged 2.9 points in the fourth quarter. That's last in the SEC and 132nd nationally. You're not going to win many games doing that.
Billy Ball, baby.
Yep, it's brutal. What do you got? Pessimism.
Yeah, they're going on the road. This is just a program that under Napier that has not been very good on the road. It's going to be under 50 degrees. It's going to be in the 40s. Until last year's win at Florida State, Florida had lost 5 straight in sub-50 temperatures dating back to 2020 against Tennessee. They have not played in Lexington since 1990, this late in the season in November. So it's always been kind of an early season road game. So there'll be some adversity, right? Being on the road, being in that kind of temperature for a bunch of Florida boys or a lot of Florida boys. So, that's going to, that to me is a reason for pessimism. At some point, the other thing is at some point, Kentucky will win a game at home that it's not supposed to win. And, this one sets up pretty well because, again, it looks like it's going to be a mud fight and a low-scoring game.
Yeah, Florida's favored by 4, I believe. And the underdog is won 3 of the last 4. So that's another little stat for you. We love our stats here at Swamp Things. Matchup offense, what do you got?
Yeah, Florida's going to get Vernell Brown III is back. Aiden Mizell is back. That's going to help the offense. Now, again, you're also down Trey Wilson and you're down Dallas Wilson. But I think if you really line those 2 guys up side by side, I think most people would take VB3 and Mizell over what we've seen Dallas Wilson kind of peter off to this season and Trey Wilson. Trey Wilson was fantastic last week, but over the course of 2 years, he's just kind of been hit and miss and the injury bug, and now he's back on the shelf. So to me, I'll take VB3, my punt guy, my punt returner, potentially a kickoff returner, and the most dynamic receiver on the field all season. I'll take him, and I think they'll be able to get Aiden Mizell to look a little bit like Trey Wilson last week. So to me, that's better. And they're going to go against a secondary that's pretty good. Don't get me wrong. Kentucky's a very solid defense, and they're getting back DJ Waller. He hasn't played since the season opener, but sounds like he's good to go in the secondary. When you haven't played for 8 weeks, there's going to be some rust, a little bit of layoff. We'll see how good he is. But I would say that the matchup on offense favors the Gators.
I'm going to go O-line. We do that a lot, but Georgia didn't sack DJ Lagway. Now, that was the pass rush ranked last in the SEC. Kentucky had 7 at Auburn. Now, Auburn's offensive line's atrocious, but nonetheless, team coming off 7 sacks, 36 in the country in sack rate. The offensive line better be ready. Matchup D, I'm going to say the Gators secondary going against a couple of Kentucky receivers. They don't have an elite passing game by any stretch, but Kendrick Law is a nice player for Kentucky, and their leading receiver has had some nice showings. And they also have DJ Miller had 5 catches for 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. What was that, against Tennessee, I believe. So they have
their last home game, yeah.
Yeah, they have a couple of guys who can, give you some problems. They still, Mark Stoops is still recruited pretty well there. He's had top 25 classes every year since 2020, other than one year when they were like 30. That's Kentucky, right? If you're recruiting that well at Kentucky, you're going to get some guys. Matchup defense for you, Mark.
Yeah, it's going to be against, how do the Gators do against Seth McGowan? He's their power back. He's a big dude. 7 touchdowns in the first 4 games. Got banged up a little bit. Had 112 on the ground against South Carolina. He has not been very good of late. I think he carried 21 times for like 53 yards against Auburn 2 weeks ago. Or last week. So not great, but you just don't need another Ray Davis. Ray Davis kind of came out of nowhere and just ran all over the Gators. You don't need that. So he's a guy that I think their offense starts with, can you shut him down and make them one-dimensional and get after their quarterback?
By the way, how bad is Tennessee's pass defense? Kendrick Law had 2 catches for 103 yards against them. Ooh. And last week he had, 6 and a touchdown at Auburn. So he's been trending. But, yeah, I mean, they're 200-yard receivers from Kentucky you're giving up. I mean, Tennessee's pass defense, maybe Florida does. Florida wins this game. Ole Miss, you can't think they're going to win that game. But then they get Tennessee here in the swamp where Tennessee struggled. I don't know. Suddenly, and then you get FSU and you got a bowl game on the line. The season could at least have some mild interest if that were to unfold that way, if they win this week. Who has your attention, Mark?
DJ Lagway. I mean, I know we put him in this spot every single week, but I rewatched the Georgia game start to finish, and I just could not get over how he cost them the game. And I rewatched it. I'm pulling my hair out and going, I don't know how these coaches don't at least think about going to Tramel Jones. DJ cost him the game. You go back and you look at it, and we'll start with the 3rd and 2 run. It's open. It's actually a nice little design. This is earlier with 8 minutes to go. Florida's got the lead. They really got a chance to step on Georgia's throat here. They don't pick it up on 3rd and 2, and they go for it on 4th down, and Baugh gets stuffed. Georgia drives the length of the field and goes up for good. But that 3rd and 2 run is well designed. Baugh's a lead blocker. It's a quarterback keeper. And if he follows Baugh, he picks up the 1st down. And for whatever reason, DJ decides to cut it outside, thinks he's, Saquon Barkley here, and he gets dragged. And it would have been a loss had he not reached out and got the ball back to the line of scrimmage, or maybe gained a yard, whatever it was. So that was bad. And then the final drive, we all know the 3rd and 2, the Sturdivant short hop, or did he catch it? Whatever, whichever it was, it doesn't matter. But that was underthrown by 10 or 15 yards. But even worse was the 4th down pass. Georgia blitzes off the edge. He throws hot into coverage against Trey Wilson, but he's got TJ Abrams running wide open behind. And if he throws that ball, just throws it up. Abrams goes and gets it. Touch. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Florida had so many opportunities to win that game down the stretch, and DJ single-handedly doomed them.
Speaking of Jaden Baugh, he's better off running the ball than blocking for DJ Lagway, I think. He had 5 touchdowns against Kentucky last year. That was kind of his breakout game, first 100-yard game. He's on pace for 1,000 yards quietly. He's pushing 700 right now. He'd be the first since Kelvin Taylor in 2015 who needed 14 games to get 1,035. So that included the SEC title game and then bad Citrus Bowl 41-7 loss to Michigan, if you recall that one. I just say feed the guy, man. But Kentucky, 22nd in the country, yards per rush, 3.5 yards. So that's a physical football team, like I say. That's the way Mark Stoops coaches them. And it could be some tough sledding, but I just say keep feeding him, let him wear him down. He had the 27 carry game against Texas, and they won that game. I'm not saying riding his back, but Dallas Wilson was really the star of that game. But Jaden Baugh certainly had a big part in that game. I think you should definitely, involve him early and often. As Billy Gonzales said, and I liked it, you give your playmakers the ball and feed them. This isn't, let's just rotate everyone in the world. Just play Jaden Baugh. If he needs a breather, Katie Daniels comes in, gives him a breather, get him back out there. On the spot, we do Scott Strickland on the spot every week, but it's a unique dynamic this week. He's going back to Kentucky. He used to be the sports information director of basketball there years ago, right? And he's made an ascension and then some to become one of the most powerful ADs in the sport, right? And this is the biggest hire in Florida history. I mean, let's not I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but it's just reality. Football, you have to fix football here, Scott. He knows it. Everyone knows it. And he nervously awaits. I heard someone say, it's like the prettiest girl in school trying to ask her to the prom, Lane Kiffin. Everyone wants Lane Kiffin. LSU wants Lane Kiffin. I'm sure Auburn wants him, but isn't going to get a shot at him. He turned him down a few years ago. LSU, man's a tire fire right now with all the administrative upheaval. And Auburn's chewed up and spit out 2 coaches in 4 years. Brian Harsin lasted 2 years, and then Hugh Freeze fewer than 3. So as bad as Florida's situation might look to some, looks pretty good. And if you just keep, stay the course, I think you can get Lane, man. And, Scott is got to do whatever it takes to land that guy and re-energize his program, the fan base, and the donor base, as I keep saying.
Yeah, I'll put Billy Gonzales on the spot again. I just want to see more. I want to see something different. We saw a little bit of different. He ripped up the playbook, right? Shrunk the playbook down. Now I want to see him open things up. And I get it. Last week, Dallas Wilson goes down, and he's down VB3, and he's down Aiden Mizell, and they start the game, and they want to run 3 wide receiver sets, and then he gets the injury to Dallas Wilson, and they got to go back to the Napier offense where they're playing much more 12 personnel using the tight ends, and everything's in the box. But that played to Georgia's favor. It played into Georgia's hands late in the game where Florida got bunch sets, tight end, motion. It was almost like they went back to the Napier offense out of necessity. I don't want to see that. Billy Gonzales has a chance. There's nothing to lose here. Go win again. Be different. Be different than your predecessor. Be different than the guy who drug you all, players, coaches, everybody, administration. He drug you all into this mess. So be different than him moving forward. I want to see spaced out, use the full field, less movement, opens things up for Baugh. I really think Baugh is fantastic, as you touched on. He's the key to this thing. And I think if you widen the field, get the receivers out there, don't allow Kentucky to play with 9 or 10 men in the box. If you bunch everything up, you bring 10 or 9, and that doesn't bode well for Florida, not for a team that has trouble blocking up front. So to me, I'll put Billy G on the spot. Be a little different.
Yeah. What's the final thought for you, man?
Yeah, they got to win this game. This is huge. Again, Kentucky's in disarray. Mark Stoops is a lot like Billy Napier, doesn't seem like he has adapted very well to the portal. I get it. You want to grow your roster. You want to find 3 stars, find these lower guys and develop them over time, 2, 3, 4 years. We don't have time. If a guy's developing, he's leaving you, right? For greener grass, for a bigger payday, for a better program. That's not this. This is churn and burn, baby. You got to find guys, get them in here, use them up, and they'll move on to the NFL. That's how it works. It's a 1-year wonder. Everything is. And if you're not that, then you're out of touch, and you're probably going to be where Kentucky is, and you're going to be where Florida is. So you got to figure this thing out. But this, to me, I think Florida's in a better spot than Kentucky. Florida's got to go win.
I think you got to develop some guys and you got to have a mix of both. Obviously, it isn't all churn and burn. I'm not trying to correct you. I know you don't really mean that completely, but you do need a lot of that churn and burn at the top. A lot of your stars and things like that turn out being that way. It's really just, it's unbelievable what's going on, right? It's like Dan Wetzel said, you're coaching teams, not programs anymore. Look, I already kind of touched on it earlier. Just there's been a lot of close calls and dramatics at Kentucky. And I have a feeling this is going to be more like the 2015 game where Will Greer made his start and they won 14-9. It was just like one of the most dreadful, low energy games you could be around, but they won. And Florida's got to do whatever it can take, as you pointed out, to win. Because again, there is a bowl postseason opportunity here. I don't know that I'm like getting excited to go cover whatever, the Shreveport Bowl, if that even exists, or some Birmingham Bowl or something like that. But these players, that's what you want. You want to reward them for something, especially after this season. And to have any shot at any reward, you have to win this game. And I spoke to Chris Doring the other day, ran into him. It was funny. I'm going to get some seafood at Northwest Seafood. And I see Chris Doring get out of his Range Rover and walks into Fresh Market. So I went and did my thing. I waited him out because I'm like, I'm going to talk to Chris Doring. I mean, who better would know like what it takes to win at Kentucky in dramatic fashion? Caught the 28-yarder with 3 seconds to go in 1993 to kind of begin he and Danny Werfel's magical careers. Chris Doring still holds the school record with 31 touchdown passes, by the way, which is pretty impressive. But, there have been a lot of interesting games, as I mentioned earlier. And, hey, who knows? Maybe this one will be interesting. But just to see if Florida can prevail is interesting enough, I think, for the hardcore fans and people like us. All right, let's pick some games, Mark. It's week 11. You went 4-2 last week. I went 2-4. I'm just slow bleed over here. I'm 28-2 still, though. Pretty incredible. You're 35-2, trending toward 500. Maybe you won't lose your bankroll after all. Why don't you run us through these and let's make it quick, please?
Yeah, we'll start with Citadel at number 6, Ole Miss. Ole Miss given 53.5. You're up.
I mean, that is like the most insane line I've ever seen, but I'm not betting against the Lane train.
Yeah, you know what? I am. I think they're going to – you take Ole Miss, and I think Ole Miss wins the game, and I think it wins it by whatever score it wants. But something just tells me this is the game where you got to get all your guys in. You got to call off the dogs. You want to get everybody in and out and healthy for Florida and the Egg Bowl. So, again, this is a team that's playoff bound. I don't think you play with your starters very long here. So I'll take Citadel covering the 53.5. Auburn at number 9, Vandy. I'm up. Vandy's given 6.5. I'm rolling with Vandy. I've rolled with them before. I won with them last week. We won against picked against them last week and won. But I'm going to roll with Vandy against Auburn. I still don't know much about Auburn being on the road.
And Diego, we trust. Vandy.
There you go. LSU at number 4, Alabama. Alabama -10. I think they've been favored against LSU 19 straight years and covered most of those. So you're up.
I'm taking Bama. They're playing as well as anyone in the country, except maybe Indiana, which just continues to astound me with the scores they're putting up.
Yeah, I'm taking Alabama too, even though there's a part of me here that thinks, do you get a little of a bump from no Brian Kelly? The Brian bump, right? We talked about the Billy bump, the Brian bump, but I'm going to stick with Alabama. Number 5, Georgia at Mississippi State. Georgia is given 8.5. I'm up. I'm taking Georgia on the road. Man, I am going to take Mississippi State.
I am too.
I think 8.5 is a lot.
I'm taking Mississippi State. I think it's an underrated team. They're close in every game. And
A&M, and they're at home. A&M, Texas A&M, whatever they're ranked, they are ranked. I don't have their ranking in front of me. Number 3. There you go. Number 3, A&M at number 19, Missouri. Big game. You're up. Texas A&M given 7.
Missouri is number 5 in the nation in defense and 14 in offense. And they're running 80 plays a game. Eli Drinkwitz, if the Lane Kiffin thing doesn't work out, could be the fallback. And I'm looking at those numbers and going, this guy's actually doing a hell of a job this year. I think I'm going to take Missouri at home. I think A&M's like excellent team, but Mike Elko's not great in November. He hasn't been as a head coach. So let's see.
I like TMU, I think they're the best team in the league, so I will take Texas A&M. Florida, I got it at -3, unless it moved.
It was 4. Maybe it moved down to 3.
Okay. So I got Florida -3 at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm up. I'm taking the Gators. I have no trust in Mark Stoops and that team.
Nope, me neither. I'm taking Florida. All right, Foley's Corner. Let's wrap it. A nod to the former athletic director that we do each and every week. Tell us about what happened with women's basketball last night real quickly.
Yeah, complete beatdown. Liv McGill scored 38 points. It's the 8th most in program history for the Lady Gators. They used to be called the Lady Gators, and now they're just the Gators. But she was fantastic. I think she have a triple-double in the season opener.
I think she had 9 assists.
Okay, so it's closed in on us, really close to a season double, and then she just picked. She's fantastic, and she gives them a chance in every single game. She's going to give them a chance, even in SEC play. So keeping her was huge. How well they play around her is even bigger. But she's fantastic, and she was put on quite the show last night.
A little golf note. Jack Turner, one of 18 players invited to the USA Walker Cup practice sessions in December at Seminole, Jupiter Hills, and MacArthur. Tell you, these kids, man, they got it great. They got to play some great golf courses. And Jack Turner he's an elite player and probably a future pro, but big news for him. So anyway, thanks for the conversation, Mark.
Hey, thanks for having me as always.
Also want to thank our faithful producer, Wesley Alden, for her continued efforts. The three of us appreciate everyone who took time from their busy lives to join us. Until next time.
Thank you for listening to Swamp Things, your Florida Gators podcast. For more coverage, visit OrlandoSentinel.com and APnews.com. On Twitter, follow Edgar at OS Gators and Mark at AP Mark Long. Please subscribe to this podcast, share it on social media, and review it on iTunes. See you next time.